This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun. So let's talk hand planes and why I've made the choices I have. Starting with my number 7, usually used for truing up long sides. So for instance, if you've got a board like this, it's got a cup in it, it's long enough not to touch that cup until it's knocked down the 2 high points. And you'll be able to hear it just taking off the high points. You're going to notice my hand planes are pretty much low angle hand planes. I chose PMV11 steel for almost all of my planes except for one. Before we get into that though, I'll talk to you about the traditional planes I have. I've got 2 I think. I don't like them. I don't like the faff of setting them up. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not intuitive to me. It's like my dyslexia just can't bear this setup and how it all goes together. Setting up, I'm obviously pointing out, is this chip breaker, this added extra bit. That always drove me up the wall, so I didn't stick with it. Now, I'm not making this up for camera. This is literally how it's going and how it usually goes every time I have to deal with one of these planes. I suppose it's not helped very much by me being used to bevel up planes, whereas this is bevel down. And oh, look, pennies dropped about then. I've got it the wrong way up. So those planes for me aren't as straightforward as they can be, whereas the low angle planes, bomb. Now that's not the only reason I chose these as well. The Veritas ones I quite like. It's all the little touches which usually come with more expensive tools. You saw those 2 grub screws. Well, they help keep that blade in the centre and straight-ish, which is a nice touch, I think. And then the other thing about all of these low angle planes, all of these Veritas planes have adjustable mouths, which is great, because the one thing I do like about these low angle planes, they're really great for end grain and difficult grain, and the added bonus of being able to choke that blade right up, which helps support the fibres of the wood and gives you a little bit less tear out. Not zero tear out, but it certainly helps. And here's my jack plane, aka number 5, also low angle, pretty much the same in a sense, but it's just a different length. The nice thing about a jack plane is it can do so many different jobs by changing the blade, for instance, and then you've got a different plane. I should mention that brilliant, all my hand tools, I suppose you call me a hybrid woodworker, but my hand tools are there to finish off what the machines can't do. Machines can't finesse things. It's usually a rough finish and it needs fixing. And that's what my hand tools are for, to get me as close to perfection as possible. This is a nice little touch from Veritas. See, my thumb goes into that dimple and my hand goes around that hot dog. That's for when you're using it on a shooting board. My number 4, smoother, great little plane. Again, PMV 11 blade. You can see that feels almost wet to touch. It's how nice it makes the cut. Nice and smooth, perfect for a glue joint. That I'm slowly getting out of the toolbox the planes that if I had to buy again and I can only buy those planes, these are the ones I'm showing you first. There are planes that I would say are a luxury and an add-on you possibly don't really need and you can get away with not buying, but you know it's like you start buying hand tools and planes and stuff, it gets a bit addictive. I'd say once I've got the planes out I would always want, I think my toolbox will probably be only half full. Rebate planes, dado planes, call them whatever you call them. These 2 are the ones I'd choose out of my selection, and they're the ones that get used the most, and for obvious reasons you can clean out a groove. Rebate, these also have the PMV11 steel in them. It's 2 times harder than A2 steel, it takes twice as long to sharpen but holds an edge for a lot longer. I'm really happy I chose PMV11, even though it does take a little bit longer to sharpen them. As you can see, these also have the grub screws on the side to help keep blade in place. I'm glad they used flat-headed screws instead of Allen keys, hex drives, otherwise, because they probably would have been in Imperial. And what with everything that's in the workshop, which is in metric, Imperial's a pain. Again, just like the other planes, you have a function to choke the blade and expand the mouth of that blade, or retract it. And on to my favourite, the most used plane I've got. This used to live on my belt when I used to walk around a workshop with a belt on. A bit heavy for a belt, I'll admit, but I'm constantly reaching for this, so it's handy to have it on your body. Although work isn't as wonderful as it used to be, so it does spend a bit too much time in the tool cabinet. This is the only plane I chose 01 still for, and I cannot for the life of me remember why. That's something I'd like to change though and go to the PMV 11 for sure, but it's like 40 quid. Quick little demo, it does need sharpening. This blade I think I've actually even got a nick in it, so it's going to have to be a regrind. You can see that end grain's nice and smooth though. You know you're good when you've got a good cut through end grain when it goes dark. It's light and pale, it's not a really nice smooth cut. And the router plane, great little plane. You can also mount that to a bit of 9mm ply if you like, give you more stability. The one thing I hate about this plane is trying to sharpen that damn little, well, it's like a little tooth. Fortunately this one you can actually unscrew from the shaft, which helps a bit, but it is so small you can't get any sort of jig onto it. It's a freehand job, I'm afraid, so I try not to use it too often. I can't remember what steel that is off the top of my head. So out of that whole tool chest, that's exactly what I'd buy again, no questions. Absolutely have to have those in my mind, minimal. What order would I purchase them in? Definitely the block plane first, most used plane, hands down. Second is going to be the jack plane because you can change those blades, put a convex, a high camber blade in it, it's a scrub plane, it does loads of jobs. The third choice is going to be a bit controversial, I think. Yep, rebate plane. From here on in, it's going to be the 4, the smoother, and then the 7, and another rebate plane. Last but not least, the router plane. I'd love to know what came first, the electric router or the handheld router. Who got their name from where? Now that chubby one in the middle, lower middle, that's not actually a hand plane, but we'll get to that later. These two, I love the idea of them. I can't really work them out how to use them. The blade is so small, again, it's a hand sharpening job, and that steel is absolutely wafer thin. It's not ideal really for the job it's going to do, that's for sure. It doesn't have the thickness, 1.5mm. It feels like it's made out of tin, honestly. Before we go any further, I'd like to apologise to everyone for forgetting this last upload. I'm very sorry. So to Joe, Mark Dana, Justin Walsh, Jimmy Frick, Derek Hansen, Peter Davidoff, Scott Broomfield, Jorvik Workshop, and Paul Hodgson, I'd like to say a massive thank you. That little plane at the top there, I'm not kidding, it's not much. It's about the same size as my thumb. I bought it for fun, really. And this beast, I mean, it is a beast. The bed on that thing, 30mm, I think, or 35mm. It's not a lot of dados you're going to be cutting at 30mm. This ball nose plane, I probably can count on one hand how many times I've used it. I use it more as a chisel plane by taking that off, and I can get right up in the corners. Quite a fat little fella as well. And again, it's got the grub screws. It's a lovely, well-made piece of kit. You can choke up the blade. I don't understand the ball nose fixture part. As you can see, you can adjust that. It always comes off when I use that because I'm only using it as a chisel plane. Now this fat boy. Now if you've got card pole in your hands and you're using card scrapers, you can't do it for very long. And I did a lot of research because card scrapers give a nice finish, albeit they can give you such a smooth finish. Some finishes won't adhere to, but that's basically what this is. It's like a plane with a card scraper in it. The iron, I'm not sure what to call this now because it's not really an iron, but it does have a beveled edge on it. It's not like a normal card scraper where you've got a flat edge which you've rolled over the sides to cut with. I really wish I hadn't done that to my bench. Now I've got to refinish it. There you go. Nearly last but not least, my scrubber. She's got a big old tongue on her and she's got a hell of a gob on her too. I could safely say I've hardly ever used this, but you never know. You get a power cut and you're going to need it. The camber on this blade just makes me shiver looking at it, thinking that, oh, at some point I've got to sharpen that. Now I take it back. I didn't buy PMV11 for everything. A2 for the scrub plane, not sure why. Going back to the number 5, the jack plane, the master of all trades. Reason being is you can use this as a scrub plane too. And you literally you could buy a number 5 and just buy a few blades, and you could change that, put that camera onto that blade and stick it in there, and you've got a scrub plane, for instance. Again, you could buy another blade, you could change the angle to 38 degrees, and it'll really handle difficult grain really well. In short, buy more blades, stick it in number 5, and your number 5 can do loads of different jobs. And just for you weight watchers that don't want shoulders like mine, here's the weight difference between a number 5 low plane and a scrub plane from Veritas. And let's not forget it can be used as a shooting plane. And this hot dog, that saved me 300, 350 quid, not buying the Veritas shooting plane. And that's lovely and comfortable. 100% honest with you. Before you go, this vid was meant to be a build video. I spent 3.5 hours taking pallets apart for this small prize, and it dawned on me we make furniture out of kiln dried wood for good reason, right? But pallets live outside, so the chances of anyone spending the money on kiln dried wood to make pallets out of, I doubt ever happens. In the UK, kiln dried timber is usually 12% moisture content, but I have one pallet that is actually at 12%. Bizarre. It's actually spalted beech too, so it made me wonder. It's not cost effective to tear apart pallets unless you can do this in double quick time, as time is money. 3.5 hours, that translated into money I could have spent less money buying better grade wood. And also these things live outside, where the wood reaches equilibrium moisture content relative to the humidity of its surroundings. So if I was to make something out of what you can see, it's not going to end well over the seasons. Furniture made with what is effectively seasoned wood then, isn't it? So what am I missing? How is it done? If there was no need for kiln dried timber, why do we have it? So if you like the cut of my jib, please like and subscribe. Share if you're really feeling kinky. And we'll see each other again. Be lucky.